All right. I think we got us a stream here. We got audio. We got video. We got at least one person watching. So let's get this ball rolling, I think. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Staghammer Studio. I am your host, Wes. It's a pleasure to see you on this, what is it today? Thursday? Thursday. It's good to see you. Normally, as you may or may not know, we do a Friday thing. But as I have plans coming up on this wonderful next Friday, as in tomorrow, we're doing this stream a little bit early. And then I'll just throw the bot up on YouTube tomorrow at the same time, just so that it's, you know, algorithms are happy and all that jazz. But I didn't want to neglect my streaming for the week. So, hi! How's everyone doing? I hope you guys had yourselves a good week thus far, and we'll continue for whatever's left of it. And I myself had a pretty decent one, albeit hot and humid. But what's up to Mr. Michael Scott Barlow in the chat? We're going to be doing a little bit of work today, picking up where we left off from the stream last week. We're going to be working on our Grots of Death, and so that should be a good time. I did manage to get like a tiny bit done. Most of it, I think, was over the weekend. This week has been fairly unproductive on that front, but it was just like little stuff. I painted their boots brown, and that was pretty much the highlight of that. So, you know, it's something. And let me see. I think that's pretty much it. I don't have a lot of news for today. Not a lot of crazy stuff happening in my world specifically. Although there's plenty of crazy to be had world over. But I count myself fortunate that my little bubble has been pretty chaos free. Although I did order some Chinese food, and it just showed up like minutes before the stream. And I'd like to highlight my personal disappointment when I ordered sesame chicken and essentially got chicken fingers, like your average Chinese chicken fingers, just drowned in like a thick-ish soy sauce with like a fistful of sesame seeds just kind of thrown right on top. That is not what I anticipated when I ordered sesame chicken, and I'm not super enthusiastic about it. But hey, you know what? I'm hungry. It's food. It's here. I had a little bit before the stream started, and the rest will be waiting for me patiently when I get off of here. So, but yeah, anyway, that being said, well, I kind of already went over it. We're picking up where we left off from the last go round. Wix, what up? So yeah, let's just get into it. Let's just get into it. I don't really have anything else to add. I feel like I'm just kind of filling some time here. All right, so we're gonna crack into the palette, and let's see what we have to work with. So, what remains to be done on these fine fellows? I need to do all their little rope belts. Let's kind of flip one around, hold it up to the camera. Maybe we can get it to focus a bit. There we go. So the shield on all of them needs to be done. The moon icon needs to be filled in that kind of blue-green color. I've got to do all the metallics on them still. The little red tips on the hood need to be done. The belt needs to be done. But, you know, we're kind of getting there. Oh, that's the other thing. While I had the brown out, I went through, and anybody that had a wooden weapon, I went ahead and, you know, saw the little board with a nail in it like this guy has. And then this guy and this guy. They each have like little spiky clubs. So, you know, I painted the wood brown because it's wood. Okay. So anyway, let's get ourselves a brush, and we're just going to kind of crack on and get right into this because might as well. So what's up, those in the chat? Is you guys having yourselves a good week so far? I hope everyone's doing well out there. We are... Where did my handle go? Actually, you know what? Let's do a slightly smaller brush. Just bang out all the rope. Kind of looking at it and thinking about it. We want this brown. The nice thing about this wet palette is that it keeps the paint wet forever. The one thing I will say about this particular setup I have is it the habit of separating the paint because it just kind of sits there and absorbs maybe a wee bit too much water. But nothing a little mix can't handle. Alright, so we're coming in and we are just going to slap some of this light kind of brownish, tannish color. This rope. This is going to take a couple of coats because it's, especially now that it's been sitting for like a week on my wet palette here, it's pretty broken down, pretty thinned. So we just need to apply a layer, and then we'll move on to the next one, and apply a layer, and move on to the next one, etc. until they're all done, and then we'll start back over from the first one. And the first layer should be well and dry by then. I'll slap on a second layer, and that should be good enough. Oh, you know what? Chat seems to have stopped scrolling. There we go. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Wix. I still need to get, at some point, I mean, as far as my setup goes, the biggest thing I need to do is finish upgrading my computer, and like my actual PC. Because right now it has a really nasty habit of just crashing, like it did so like 5 minutes before the stream. So hopefully, you know, knock on wood, that's like it, and it's not going to crash midstream like it has a couple of times in the past on me. But you know, if it does, it does. We move on, we restart. But it needs a new... I think the motherboard is on the verge of death, basically, on this thing. So, I have one picked out, and I'm in the process of saving up the necessary cash to pick it up. But we're going to be getting a new motherboard with it, a new CPU, and some new RAM. And I just bought a new video card, an upgraded video card, I don't know, maybe a month ago or something like that. And when I tried, it was a video card that by all rights should have worked in my computer. It was compatible with the motherboard. It was compatible with the power supply. Everything looked great. And then we installed it, and the motherboard itself just kind of said no. I don't want this. And that was kind of where we discovered that even though it was compatible, my motherboard is crap. And it basically, it decided it didn't want to play nice. So it needs replacing, essentially. So we're saving up for that. We should be there, I don't know, hopefully within a couple of weeks or so. But where I was going with that is the once the the actual computer hardware itself is situated and I don't have to worry about it just kind of up and dying on me, the next step is replacing my face cam here on with something else. Now what may end up happening is well, I have a camera that my wife and I bought a while ago, and we had bought it with the intent of it takes really good pictures. Supposedly, it's a very good blogging camera and takes very good video as well. But what we didn't anticipate, what I didn't anticipate, was that recording a video for, say, YouTube and then streaming are two different animals, and I was very naive in that and did not quite take that into account. So when you hook it up to your computer, it automatically thinks that you're just trying to load pictures and closes the lens. So I can't use it as a webcam like I thought I could. Now, they do have these capture cards. I just don't know if it is worth buying one in the event that it doesn't work. But having one lying around that I can then, if I upgrade to a better camera that I can use the capture card, maybe. But for now, I think I'd like just a new webcam that is better quality than this little guy right here, because this one is poo-poo. And then what I might end up doing is just kind of doing a shuffle, and the one that's currently pointed down at my desk, I'll just point at me, and then since the new one will undoubtedly be better quality than both of these, I'll have that on the main focus, which is the desk here, and that's the game plan. We'll see how we go with that. We're already three goblins deep. Oh, so those of you, some of you out there may be wondering to yourself, but Wes, why won't you be here tomorrow? What is so important that it would take you away from streaming on your regular schedule? Well, funny you should ask. I mean, well, it's a little get together with my wife and some of her coworkers, and you see, word got around at her place of work that I, your humble host, enjoy some Dungeons and Dragons from time to time, and one of her coworkers in particular was curious and had never played and was interested in learning. And the other coworker, her boyfriend, has always wanted to play but never played. And so there's going to be a humble gathering of these fine individuals at my house tomorrow, so that we can play a little Dungeons and Dragons. Something I'm excited about because I don't often get to play Dungeons and Dragons anymore. Especially having a 2-year-old, and the fact that both my wife and I work. So, so I'm excited about it, needless to say. So we have a little social engagement at the house. Alright, so the other thing I forgot to mention sort of at the top of the show, or at least in my recap of what needs to be done on these guys, is this greenish color needs to be brought into the West Talks, take 2. Needs to be brought into the rest of the weapon wraps for those that have them. And some of these guys have a little moon icon as like a belt buckle. So that needs to be hit with that green too. So, but that's an easy fix. We're rocking right along. We got 5 done, at least with the first coat. What do we have left here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 left to go. Oh, actually, you know, I should have shown these off more towards the beginning, but, you know, whatever. When I was talking about progress, I forgot all about these. So the unit comes with 3 of these netters. There we go. So I finished all 3 of the netters because there wasn't a whole, like, the nets were super easy. And realistically, because the skin and the robes were done, that was essentially the only thing left on them to do. So I was able to knock them out super quick over the course of the weekend. And so once that was done, it just left me these regular dudes. And another one done. So, all right. But yeah, so oh, this one's belt is already done. Look at that. That's a freebie. So yeah, needless to say, I'm super excited about tomorrow night, and the fact that I will be getting to run what was originally a Halloween D&D one shot that I wrote and put together. I think it was like 2-3 years ago now, something like that. Let's call it 2, just to be on the safe side. But it was my first time actually running a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and so. But it was a lot of fun to put together, and I ran it for my usual D&D group, which at the time I had originally planned that it was going to be a sort of a tutorial in how to play, sort of for my wife, who I had coerced into playing with me, and one of her friends, who, and I think her friend's husband, maybe? I don't remember the specifics now, but anyway, there had been interest in some of her friends again in the game, and so I was going to be running them through something, and so I wrote a short little Halloween one shot specifically with that in mind, and then that never came to pass. So I had this short little one shot ready to go, and so I was like, well, maybe, you know, like a couple of the guys and or gals from my normal D&D group would be interested in getting together to run through this, because I was really excited about it. And I have a very large group that we play D&D with, and I think like at its peak there was like 7 or 8 players, give or take, plus a DM. It's shrunk a little bit since then, and even more now that I'm not necessarily taking part as often as I once was. Again, 2-year-old. But the one-shot was a lot of fun, and apparently the entire group showed up for it. So I ended up running the one-shot, which was designed for, I don't know, 2 to 3 players. And now all of a sudden I was running it for 7. So it was very much jumping in the deep end. But it was a lot of fun, and apparently the players had fun, relatively speaking. And I think I still have all the stuff for it. I went nuts with it. I went nuts. I built like an entire 3D representation of the dungeon itself that you could actually play in. You know, I decided I was going to be one of those DMs that is like a crafting DM. And because I do enjoy me some arts and crafts, as you can perhaps surmise from my my hobbies of choice here. Bedtime? Okay. Looks like it is bedtime for the 2-year-old. She was on a nap strike earlier and just did not. She napped for maybe 20 minutes and then woke up kicking and screaming. She's been up since, so been a fun day. She's exhausted and she's letting us know, but at the same time was refusing to nap. But the upside is now she's going to bed early, so we're making some pretty good time here, making some good progress. What are we, 25 minutes deep into this? We only got 3 guys left to do the belts on. First coat. And we'll go back through. Do a second coat. And then, what do I want to do after that? What should my next step be? You know, maybe we'll do the, kind of like the idea of doing the red on the hood as the final step. So, like, that's the thing that caps them off. Marks them as done. So I think after that, the next biggest color is going to be this sort of blue-green color. So that's pretty prominent on the shields for those that have a weapon wrap, which is mostly those with swords. These clubs and maces and stuff, it's just basically a chunk of wood with metal. They are goblins after all, they're not known for their crafting prowess. Reminds me, I had an old Warhammer Fantasy Battles Snotling, I think, and his weapon was quite literally a board with a nail in it, and he was one of my favorite little models. I still have him somewhere. I don't think I ever named him, but I feel like he should have a name. Oops. A little paint where we don't want it. Void the brush real quick and scoop it up. Slurp. I've been having some ideas recently, folks, of stuff that I want to do for this narrative campaign and the adjoining battle reports. Mostly little conversions that I want to do for some of my units. Specifically, my vampire lord. I wanted to kind of personalize him a little bit, and I was trying to. I was looking through first of all the new General's Handbook. We're going to go into a quick little story time thing, so I'm going to just bounce over here. So I was leafing through the new General's Handbook and paying specific attention to the Anvil of Apotheosis, which was introduced in this particular edition, which is essentially I think it's a little wonky. There we go. Which is essentially a character creator for Warhammer, so that you can like make custom heroes and that kind of thing. Which, considering I'm about to like embark on this big narrative campaign, it couldn't have come out at a better time. I had started to do something like this on my own, which I may still incorporate some bits and pieces of, because I like for instance, the heroes would level up and gain experience. Sort of like an RPG. And the idea is that I will probably overlay that and then use elements of the Anvil of Apotheosis, so that like when they level up, they get more points that they can use with the Anvil of Apotheosis to then improve their character. So that's kind of something. But one of the things that you could do is give your character a companion. And so there was a minor like beast companion, and then there was a mount, if there's minor, lesser, and greater, let's put it that way. I don't remember what the official terms were, but so the minor was like a beast. So like, think about like an attack dog or a guard dog or something like that. And then there was the minor companions, which were like a mount, so like a horse or some like small steed kind of thing. And then there was the greater companions, which were like gargantuan style beasts. So like you could have a dude riding a dragon or a manticore or some sort of suitably grandiose creature. And so this got me thinking. The leader of my army is this vampire lord, right? And I want this to be like the story of that vampire lord and how he gets like from point A to point B and sort of like grows his thing. And keep in mind there are going to be two other players who are also doing the same thing with their army. So I'm sort of talking about this from my point of view in like my perspective of things. So I'm sure that there will be more stuff going on with the other two players involved. But that being said, I want this to be the story of our armies, and for mine specifically, it is going to be the sort of the evolution of this vampire lord as he sort of like grows in power and influence. And the whole thing is we're going to be trying to take over territory, and stuff like that. And it's basically going to be the story of our factions, our armies, sort of the region that they are from, etc. It's world building for Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, essentially. So, anywho, that being said, what I wanted to do was have my minor companion just be like a zombie. My army is largely themed off of the Scourge from World of Warcraft, or the Warcraft universe. So that was Arthas the Lich King and his undead hordes, and so I was very fond of that particular expansion and the aesthetic from World of Warcraft, and all of the stuff from Warcraft 3 as well. And so I wanted to theme my undead army as such. So that being said, my my Vampire Lord is essentially going to be the like Death Knight Arthas character. And so one of the things that Death Knights had was they had pet ghouls. So I think I'm going to have like a pet ghoul or a pet zombie or something along those lines that he's going to have as like his lesser companion. And then his minor, he'll have some sort of a steed, like a horse or something. And then eventually it will become a zombie dragon that he will raise from the dead. And then as time goes, he's going to go through a series of quests where he's basically trying to like make himself and his mount more powerful. And then I have like an ultimate converted version of him that is going to will eventually be my counts as Nagash model. And I'll just use the Nagash War Scroll or stats and just play him on that, or play him as that. And that's my sort of like end game goal for it. But all right, I think that's pretty much it for story time. Let's bounce on down. I finished up the last couple while I was sitting here talking. I don't know if you could probably tell because I had my head down, but we'll try and focus a little bit more on what's going on. But yeah, so that's just sort of like a sneak peek into the stuff I'm planning with that. But I was trying to decide on, I wanted to have a model for the Vampire Lord that was unique in its general construction, but something that I could carry on all. So like have a foot version where it's just like him in armor with a shield and sword just kind of doing his thing, and then have a mounted version where it's him on like a large war horse, that is it could be theoretically a different suit of armor, but like I want it still sort of like recognizable as him. So maybe the shield will be the same, or the sword. I might do like a head with no helmet, just a bare head, and just have the same head used across all of them. That part I haven't quite figured out. But the foot version, the inspiration, or at least my initial sort of inspiration, was I started to convert this guy here out of a Stormcast Eternal, just like an old Liberator, and I ground down the insignia on the shield, added the skull onto it, and my plan is to use some like some very thin twine, like a rope, and run it through the eye sockets, and basically like wrap it around the shield so that it's like you just strapped the skull on there. So yeah, so this is I added some like skull details to the sword that I'm not crazy happy with, but I don't hate it at the same time. He's got a little Marauder cape and a Marauder head, but I was thinking about using this guy as like my on-foot Vampire Lord, just for funsies. And then he'll have like a little ghoul or zombie that follows him around as his little pet dude. And then I can use either different versions of like Stormcast, because their armor is all the same essentially. And then I can use like a mounted Stormcast as like the basis for the conversion for the mount for him on his little mount, or scale that up for sort of the final couple of forms with like the zombie dragon and stuff. So ultimately, I think it'll work out well if I take that route, but I guess we'll see. I also had it'll probably be featuring in a stream not too far off. I might even, I don't know if it'll be the next one per se, but we might take a short break from these goblins if they're not already done. Which, I mean, let's be fair, they're moving along quickly, all things considered. So it might not be taking a break from them. They might just be done. But I had an idea for just kind of like some interesting little terrain bits. And so the necessary bits have been ordered and are en route. And I will be, it's just some little cheap stuff I picked up on eBay. But it's bits of other GW kits that I will be working into some sort of additional terrain stuff that will work with the terrain kits that I already have built. So it's basically just going to be like additional little things, kind of like I forget what episode it was, but it was a few episodes back, and I did that big balefire brazier, and that was from the Skaven Screaming Bell, I think. And I basically just painted it up appropriately for the terrain that I have, put it on a base with some skulls and stuff like that. So it basically became a balefire brazier and or ritual fire and or, you know, kind of whatever I need it to be. But along the same vein, I'm actually going to be using some Skaven bits, largely. So the big stone arch from the Screaming Bell kit and the Plague Furnace, that's the one, yep. I picked one of those up for like a couple of bucks on eBay, and basically my idea is to trim the bottom flush, and then that arch is going to be attached to some of the pillars that I painted up recently. So it's just going to, you know, bounce from top to top. And I might, chances are I'm going to magnetize it so that it can like clip on and off. And I'll just like feed a magnet up onto the underside, and then, yeah, that's likely what I'm going to do so that I don't have to permanently affix it to the pillars and keep things modular. But essentially, that is sort of the going plan. And then from that, I'm going to hang the bell from the Screaming Bell that I will modify slightly, try and, you know, like carve off any of the Skaven runes and stuff like that, and just make it look more like an old crusty bell. And then that will be part of the Shyish temple stuff that I have going forward. So it's just like very simple little terrain ideas that will be going into and used for this narrative campaign and the battle reports that come with it. One of the things that I really want to do at some point, and I don't know that I'm going to do it. Well, actually, tomorrow I have to set up my gaming table for the D&D thing that I'm doing for my wife's friends. So while I've got the gaming table up and out, I might roll out one of my battle mats. And I've been, for a while now, I've been really wanting to get like a big, grand, like army photo, like a family portrait of like my entire army project so far. So I'll have my Legions of Nagash and my Night Haunt stuff like all together, and I'll dress the table with terrain that is, you know, sort of appropriate. So that way, it'll all go up on like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. But it'll be nice to see it all in one place and kind of show off all the work I've been doing regarding the campaign and the battle reports. Kind of get some hype going, hopefully. All right, so we are halfway through our second coat of this Steel Legion Drab is what this is, and we're throwing this on the ropes for the belts. And the first coat is dry. And we're just running through real quick and slapping on the second coat, and this looks like this is going to be enough. I don't think I'm going to have to do like a third coat or anything. I think this is realistically going to be enough coverage, so that's a plus. But yeah, once this color is done, we will switch over to oops. Water, flood the area. Wick, 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 wick. Wick and void. Better. I'll tuck a little black up there later just to cover that up a little bit because I made a boo-boo. But anywho, yeah, we're gonna start trying to churn out some stuff for those battle reports, and this batch of stuff here is part of the first couple of battle reports, so that should be good. But I'm really looking forward to it. Let's just get that out there. I like my little creative outlets and my projects, and this has been something I've been trying to prepare for like, I don't know, probably the better part of 2 years now. And pretty much every purchase I have made in the last year and a half to 2 years in terms of like army stuff and models and terrain and all that kind of stuff has all been with battle reports in mind. And trying to make sure that I had like a decent spread of armies so that it wasn't all just like one army every single week. Granted, the first few will be based around my army building up and fighting, sort of whatever little stuff I throw at them. But once the campaign proper kicks off, because this is going to be kind of like an intro to my army, it's also going to be like a learning process for me as I learn how to like shoot and edit and stuff these videos. Editing is the big thing. I have some ideas of what I want to do in terms of like actually like filming it. There's a few different camera angles that I want to make sure I can cover. Because they're narrative, I'm actually toying around with the idea of doing some shots that are really low on the table. Almost like they're from like the character's perspective, like an over-the-shoulder kind of thing. Not quite over the shoulder, but you get what I'm saying. Like just kind of low to the table. Kind of depends on the action going on in the battle report at the time, but should be fun. I think it'll probably be used more for, like, I feel weird saying cutscenes because they're not really going to be cutscenes, but like one of the things that I want to have is like at the start of each have like some dialogue, like a little setup for what's coming, and so for those we'll probably do some like some stuff. And if there's like a particularly like epic, you know, sort of like battle scene that has like sprung up, like, you know, the two battle lines clash and you've got like, you know, some elite unit jumping over onto something else, then I'll probably do some like sweep around, like panoramic sort of like 360 things maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I've got some fun ideas in my head for how I want to shoot this, and I'm just hoping I can actually pull it off and make it not look terrible. But I guess we'll see. That certainly remains to be seen. All right, so the belts are done. Or at least that base coat is done, which is the majority of the belt. So, what are we going to do? We're going to switch gears a little bit here, and we're going to bust out our Saberite Green. And then we are going to hit the shields and the weapon wraps and anything else? Oh, the little moon icons that some of them have as like belt buckles. We're just going to jam some of this onto our palette. Of course, I picked the brush with the smallest bristles. Take a couple of scoops there. Rinse. All right. And we are going to a slightly larger brush for this. I'm going to get rolling. Now for these, I'm going to give it 2 coats, but I'm not like super concerned about getting like perfect coverage. And the reason is, in my head, the goblins have painted this color. And goblins are not known for being patient and, you know, very good artists. So things are going to be a little streaky and splotchy. They're not going to look 100%. So I'm attempting to make my paint job sort of match to some degree what I expect the goblins actually did. Cool. And this weapon wrap. I think I'm going to need that smaller brush again. This is tricky. It's definitely a situation where part of me wishes I had left them sort of unassembled to do some of this. Just getting in, painting this weapon wrap is not super easy without like getting paint on everything. Which, as I'm sure you can imagine, I'm trying to avoid as best I can. We're doing it. We're doing okay. I've done a few of these already, so not super worried. Just got to kind of figure out the angles. That's the trick. And I'm free to get some on the blade at this point too, because I still have to paint that, so I'm not crazy worried about that. I'm just trying to avoid getting it on his head, trying to avoid getting it on his hands. because I already did the skin and I like the way it came out. I don't want to have to redo it. All right. That guy's done. Scoop these guys down a little bit. I need to sip some water. All right. Yeah, I'm really pretty happy with how these guys are turning out so far. They're very very much sort of in keeping with what I had in my head when I pictured the paint job, which is always sort of a plus. Like I would say that's pretty much the goal. That's the dream. I think there's always things that could be done better, but that's fine. I don't want to say I'm rushing through this, but I do feel as though I'm on a bit of a time crunch with these guys, because it was like kind of late in the game that I realized that I was going to have these guys be sort of the antagonists in the first couple of battle reports that I did. And so I jumped on painting these guys kind of late in the game. So I'm got some time to make up and some catching up to do, some ground to cover. I think we'll get there. We got some time. And these guys do paint up relatively quickly. So if I had the ability to sit and just, hammer away at these guys for like a day, the unit would be done already. Easy. But having a 2-year-old daughter running around. This guy's already got his blue. Let's see. Anybody else all done? This guy's all done. Blue. Yeah, I got ahead of myself on some of these guys and just, I don't know, at some point along the way, just started slapping paint on guys willy-nilly, and so some have like extra steps done that other ones didn't, and so I'm just kind of going back in and getting everybody caught up. I think a lot of it too is when I was sort of testing out the initial paint scheme and trying to see, like, am I going to like this when it's spread across a few guys? So I just kind of did like shields, skin, robes, like basically like the main stuff without doing any of like the sort of smaller details like boots, belts, weapons, etc. So I didn't want to sink too much time into them if it wasn't going to be kind of what I was going for in the end. So all right. It's kind of funny. I actually like the effect on this paint when it's not like a solid coat on this color, because it's supposed to be the moon, right? So like you get this like fluctuation where there's some little darker pits and spots and it almost looks like craters. I don't know. It's like I said, I don't hate it. I'm still gonna go through the rest of the steps with this for me, but you know, just sort of my 2 cents as I see it here. I'm like, hey, you know, I kind of like that effect. Kind of note to self it. So. I may have thinned this paint just a little too much. Some of the thicker stuff. Mix that in. Try and balance it back out. That's better. We wanted to thin it to the point it was running smoothly, and I went to the point that it was like starting to break down. Whoops. One thing's for sure, I am enjoying this playlist quite a bit. I discovered this one for the last stream from last week, and it's jamming on all cylinders for me. Particularly stuff like this song here. This is the kind of drum and bass that I tend to prefer. All right. It's good. Managing this, I think, keep this in frame pretty well. Oops. That's back. Man, really got into the zone there for a second. Got what was going on. All right. This guy, he's got his shield done. He doesn't have wraps or an icon, so he's effectively done. This guy just needs his belt buckle done. There we go. Let's do another coat on the shield. All right. This guy's done. Anyone else with a shield painted already? So we can just whip through. These guys you can whip through anyway. They don't have the weapon wraps. For some reason, it's just the weapon wrap that takes the time, because that's what I've got to be super careful with. We're going to just, like, crank through a couple of shields. I am liking the contrast on these guys too, between the black field that this is on. Same with the banner, like the just the general black field with this bright ass blue green color. It just super jumps off at you. I think like the official, quote unquote, official color scheme for these guys, it's like yellow shields, the moon, which has a very similar effect, where like that moon icon just jumps out at you. This guy is done. But this like sickly green color, it just, I don't know, it's doing it for me, guys. It really is. Again, there's a piece of art that came out. I can't recall what book it was in. I'll have to look, do a little Google foo and see if I can find the art. But it's basically that one piece of art is of the bad moon, and I don't recall if it's technically supposed to be viewed from like that particular rendition of the bad moon. I don't remember if that's like when viewed from Shyish, but it has this sort of color to it, and it's just like sickly, weird, just creepy as hell color, and I absolutely adored it. And so that was like a big part of the inspiration for the color scheme for this army, and this army in general. Is like, to them, this is what the bad moon looks like when they look up at it from the realm of death. Like, it's just this creepy heavenly body just kind of staring down at them. Because this is like raised detail and raised texture, it's pretty quick to paint because you can just kind of use the side of your brush and just, you know, as long as you're relatively controlled with how you apply it, you just kind of wipe the side of your brush over and it just picks up all that raised detail, skips some of the particularly low recesses, which is nice. And I will be coming in with Coelia Green shade, slightly watered down to sort of enhance some of those details and recesses that will end up being kind of washed out a little bit by going over it with this color. And then coming back in with Gauss Blaster Green to sort of do a layer on top, leaving that this color and the Coelia Green shade kind of mixed in those recesses. So it's sort of a highlight color and or upper layer color. I don't know really what you want to call it. It's definitely a layer, but it's also, like, I'm not going to highlight it any further than that, so it's essentially both. Alright, belt shield done. Next. It's just the shields. And then the rims on these shields, when I make my run through with the metallics, the rims will be getting a once over in some silver, so that it's just sort of banded around the edge. Some silver. That should do the trick for me. Pretty simple and straightforward. The thing with this color scheme is there's not actually like a lot of complicated stuff. It's a very easy scheme. Which, as I said, I'm kind of painting these guys in a hurry, so that works out for me in the end. I've got enough complicated paint jobs and color schemes. And really, I tend to try and, at this point, I'm saving that for, like, the hero models and, like, the really big, like, you know, important models, because trying to do crazy level of detail on, like, average goblins that are just gonna get like murdered wholesale, then it's just like kind of why bother at that point. So kind of one of the things that goblins and Skaven have in common is that they're both typically horde armies, and their big benefit is that they just have tons and tons and tons of cheap bodies. Life is cheap to a goblin, much as it is to a Skaven. They don't They're not worried about like, oh, well, some of my comrades might die. No, they're just like, throw as many things as it takes, as many goblins as it takes to kill whatever that big bad thing is. How many is enough? Well, I guess you'll have to tune in to find out. Whoa. I have to clean my brushes after tonight. You can already tell this brush is taking a pounding. This is like kind of my relatively fine, sharp, detailed brush, and here I am using it to kind of block in colors in a very rough manner. So we're going to have to make sure we treat it real nice. Give it a quick scrub-a-dub-dub. Clean it out so that we don't get paint building up in the bristles and all that. I am rinsing it out pretty frequently though, because I don't want any paint getting up into the ferrule. That's like the quickest way to wreck a brush. And since I'm trying to save up a little bit of money to upgrade this computer, I don't want to throw money at new brushes just yet. Not that they're crazy expensive, but every little bit counts. The faster I can get this computer upgraded, the better. Alright. This guy's got a little moon on his belt. Slap some paint on that. Okay. We are hour and 15 into this stream, so we're rocking right along. Alright. And we'll get the belt. A wee little icon on his belt. Can nearly screwed it up because I did not wick my brush. Dum-dum sometimes. Did not check the paint viscosity. Alright, and the last weapon wrap for the unit. Let's not screw this one up. So far, so good. So far, so good. I think we're gonna do it, team. We need the bottom of the hands. Yes. Okay. Done. Done and done. At least with this color. Joys of base coating. Alright, what do we got left in this? We got about 45-ish minutes left in the show. Swig of water. Alright. Okay, what is the next step? Do we base coat or do we move on? No, we're not going to base coat. What I'm debating between is base coating metallics or working like up a level with the green and stuff like that. So I think that the best plan is I'm going to put this wee brush aside, and we're going to grab the next one up. We're going to be using this to apply our Coelia green shade. This I am going to the you know what? Let's have it for a reason. Team, if you're into painting at all, get yourself an eyedropper. They come in handy for all manner of things. And in this case, I'm going to just take some of this wash, drop some right onto this palette, press back in, swish it around in the water, give it a quick rinse. This thing comes in so handy. I use it for all kinds of things. If you're trying to get like exact paint mixes too, I mean, it's not like scientific exact, but if you're using an eyedropper and you're doing like, 3 drops of this paint, 2 drops of this paint, you're going to be pretty close to uniformly the same size drop. Close enough for me, at least. Okay, so now we're going to take a little bit of this. We're just going to draw it out. I'm going to use a bit of a wet-ish brush here. Just diluting this with a little bit of water. make sure that this lives in all the little recesses on the green. We're loading up the brush with a little bit of this stuff, and then I've got a paper towel on my lap that I'm wicking off, you know, any of the sort of excess, so that we're not flooding the model accidentally, since we are working in some pretty tight quarters with some of this. So. Dread missing belt buckles. Definitely liking these guys. Their character is just so fun. A lot of pizzazz to them. They're just so goofy. But at the same time, like, if you read up on like their lore and so forth, they're creepy as hell. Which with this particular sort of paint job, like, that was the thing I really wanted to sort of play up, was the creepy factor. Wanted to have them, you know, like, yeah, they're dumb, and yeah, they like probably are gonna screw up half of their plans. They're not like a well-oiled machine type of army, you know what I mean? Like, just a horde of goblins come rolling in, and either they win and like just crush whatever with the weight of numbers, or they in turn just get crushed. It's basically just goblins, you know what I mean? Like, but they, I don't know. I want them to leave like a lasting impact at the same time. People are going to remember these guys. Nice quick step. I'm blasting through, making sure that this wash hits all those nice recesses, which there aren't like a ton of in the shield, but in the icon there is a little bit of sculpted detail that it's nice to try and pick out. Add that three-dimensionality and depth back into some of these things. It was a very flat base coat I put on there. And this kind of pops it back out a little bit, adds that definition. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. You see? Yeah, we can see. Let's just get a little belt buckle. Try and get that without getting too much of the rope. There we go. We did it. We did it, team. Mission accomplished. We painted a belt buckle. Life's little victories. Again, these guys with the maces and the clubs and whatnot, because it's just a shield icon and they go quick. That's rewarding. Just finishing one after another after another. At least with this particular step. Not like, you know, finished. Although I suppose for some they could be. This could be a place you stop if you really wanted. But why? Why settle for okay? Got a little belt buckle. And our last one for the wash. And the belt buckle. Alright. That step is done. Alright. Now, we'll check the first one. Is the wash dry? Looks like it is. So we can come in. 30 minutes left. Ooh, do we want to dive in on this next step? See how far we can get through? Yeah, might as well. Might as well. The goal is to get as much done as we can, so we want to make the biggest impact, which is going to be our Grots Blaster Green. I really need to get one of those. I've seen them online. Those, they use them for like mixing nail polishes and stuff like that. It's like this little, like vibrating disc, and you just like press the paint pot onto it, and it just goes and vibrates the crap out of it, mixes it all up. Because this one, look at this, it is chunky. So, not ideal, but there's enough like actual paint in there that's not like super chunk. We can still make use of it. It's usable. It's just not ideal. Look at this. See just how bright this color is. Oh, I love it. This is like the first time I've ever really used this color on like a model or an army or anything like that. I love it. Okay. It's good. Alright, so I'm going to thinly apply some of this Grots Blaster Green. I'm going to avoid the deeper recesses, such as they are. There aren't a ton on these shields, but we want to try and emphasize the ones that there are. And we're just basically Hit that over the top. Now this, because I, like as I sort of previously mentioned with the Saberite green, the first green that we put on here, I had mentioned that I kind of liked the look of the fact that it was a little bit spotty. So I'm intentionally only doing one thin coat of this because I want to see some modulation in that color. Like I want it to not be a smooth, clean coat. Like I want it to have like spots and just be like a little wonky. At least on the shield. Because again, it's goblin paint job. And yeah. So we got some love on the wraps, on the weapon, just a little bit. We got the shield. Actually, just slide this guys. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna skip all the sword guys because they take a little bit more time, and we're just gonna rapid fire through the guys that don't have wraps to worry about, because I can get through those guys a lot faster. Load our brush up again, wick off any excess, and come in and just do, like I said, we're doing one thin coat. Because I still want to see little blemishes in this paint. I want to see the previous coat bleeding through a little bit here and there. Believe it or not, that is the look I'm going for. That little tooth. Perfect. See, I don't know if you guys can see this. I mean, you can see it, but you can still kind of see the little blemishes, and you can see the darker stuff through it, and it just gives that weird, like almost kind of cratery effect. I don't know. Again, maybe it's all in my head, but I like it, and it's my army, so who cares? Again, I'm using a lot of the side of the brush here. He's got a little moon icon on his belt, so I'm just going to zap a little bit of this on there. Off. Shit. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to clean this brush out after this is over. There's some bits of paint drying in the bristles. I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. What I do like is this color. Oh man, I know I've mentioned it before, but numerous times, in fact. But look at that. It's just so cool. I love it. All right. I'm just knocking these out now, especially because it's these flub guys. Man, they go quick. For this step, at least. Super into it. I think before I go and do any of the metallics, I'll probably do the metallics like as like a last step on these guys. And what I'll end up doing is before I add any like texture paste or whatever onto the bases, and before I do the metallics, I'll take them out and just give them a blast with some matte varnish, just to kill any like sometimes like the washes and stuff like that. They'll pool up weird, and you get like a weird shine off of them. So hitting them with a quick matte varnish, and you don't want to like, I mean, they're not going to have like bright shiny silver weapons or anything like that, but I do want to maintain some of the shine from them, so I don't want it completely wiped out with the matte varnish step. So but if I can get them to a point like maybe Saturday or Sunday, that would be ideal, is get them, because I mean realistically this step that I'm working on right now is like almost the bulk of whatever's left for these guys. Like there's not a ton of work left to do realistically. I've got to do the red caps, maybe highlight the ropes a little bit, but they look pretty good. And then it's like the metallics. That's pretty much it. There's not a ton left to do. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, after this is done, not tonight, because I've got work in the morning and whatnot. So once the stream is done, I'm just going to scarf down some of this leftover. Well, it's not leftover. It's from tonight. What am I even saying? Chinese food. Anyway, I'm going to eat my dinner because I haven't eaten yet, because I really wanted to get to the stream and didn't want to push it off any later. And the Chinese food got here a touch on the late side. I imagine with everything that's going on right now, they are probably pretty busy takeout places in general. Especially on like a hot, humid day too. Nobody wants to cook on a day like today. Unless you have like central air or something like that. Your entire house is air conditioned, which ours is not. We have a few select rooms that have the comfort of AC. That's it. It's the bedroom, the playroom for the baby, which is the downstairs room here where I'm at. And it's like the family room. We actually just got, not too long ago, we got a one of those like portable, because we have some weird windows in our living room. They're not big enough for like a normal AC unit, so we had to get one of those like portable ones. And then I like took a Dremel and just cut the little window thing, though it's basically just like a little bit wider than the hole for the tube. And that was we have that upstairs for like the kitchen and the living room, but it takes forever to do anything, and it's just a lot of space up there to try and fool with that. Okay. You guys can see okay. One of the things that I might try and do, I don't know if this camera might be able to pull it off and zoom in just a little bit. I'd have to go into like the camera settings and fiddle with it. Maybe I'll try and do that for the next stream, see if I can get it to sort of zoom in a little bit more. Next. Yeah, man, we're ripping through these guys. It was like when there's a paint scheme that is relatively quick and easy, but also like you're in love with the way it turns out. Like the finish is just what you're looking for. Perfect. And that a little too much. Knock it back a little bit. Now on these wraps, I am leaving some of the green in the recesses, the sort of the washed color. I'm basically just running the very like side of the brush over the wraps themselves, just to get like a quick little highlight in between the fingers. Nothing crazy, but it's noticeable. I mean, it's working. So just trying to get the get it going. Jacked up in that. That's not ideal. That's not what we want. working out pretty good. I am, unfortunately, like I said, getting... I think it's just because I have, like, a little bit of flow aid mixed in with my water. So there's getting... It's wicking up the brush into the ferrule way more than I'd like it to. It would be a little bit of a pain. Before I go to bed, I'll give these brushes a quick wash. Alright guys, I got 3 left. 3 left and about 10 minutes left in the stream. We got this. Well, I got this. I guess we got this. I'll call this a joint effort. You guys are my moral support and whatnot. Okay, shield is done. Wraps. Just do the top here. Down a little bit, but no one will notice. Can you tell I'm getting a little lazy? Huh. Apparently Facebook has decided that some of this supposedly no copyright music is copywritten. It's threatening to shut down my stream again. Can we talk about how frustrating that is? Because this stuff is in a playlist that claims it's all copyright free. Let's just skip the next song and maybe that will... Skip a couple songs there. Maybe it won't be something with copyright. That's a little obnoxious, I'm not gonna lie. Got like a warning popping up on my screen. Alright guys, last one on the green. And then this step is completely done. Would be nice. One step closer to a finished unit. Lamb. Easy peasy. All right. Quick icon on his belt. We get the wraps. Top and bottom. Side. Good enough for me. All right. We did it. We got through the bulk of the remaining work here, which really is pretty awesome. So let's review here. We did the base coat on all the greens. We washed it. We did the sort of like highlight layer on all the greens as well. And I guess that was pretty much, I mean, that's what we did today. Let's not say we did more than that, because really we didn't. But the my lid on my wet palette. So what remains is essentially just the metallics. And I think what I'm going to do is I've got it on the rope. I'm going to come back in with like a lighter tan on the rope and just put some little ticks in on like the highlights for the rope. And then we've got to do the red tips on the hoods. And then it's just the metallics after that. Yeah, that's it. So we've got 2 steps left to go, and they're not lengthy steps. So we won't get to it tonight. Won't get to it tomorrow. So maybe Saturday night or something like that, I'll sit down and try and bang out the rest of it. And hopefully by next stream, I will have the bits and pieces for that terrain that I was telling you guys about. And what I'll end up doing for the next stream will be working on that little bit of terrain. And we'll be finishing up that little bit of terrain, or starting that bit of terrain at least. And I'll be able to show you guys the finished unit of these guys here. So again, I need to do the hoods. I need to do the varnish and the ropes, and then the metallics, and then they're done. So I should be able to knock all that out over like the weekend. We'll see. Time slips away from me at times, so we'll see what we actually get for it. But here's hoping. All right. So all that being said, I think we're gonna go ahead and draw this episode to a close. I really want to thank everyone for coming and hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it, and I had a lot of fun. I hope you did. I want to sort of, I guess, stress and reiterate, as I do pretty much every week here, that you know, there's a lot of really shitty things going on in the world right now, for lack of any, you know, like, let's call it what it is, shall we? So I just want to remind everybody that Black Lives Matter. This is not something that is going to go away, and it definitely should not go away. So we just need to kind of keep it on the forefront. You know, with all the things going on with COVID as well, make sure, you know, you guys are staying safe. I know it's spiking up all over the country again. We have not as a country handled it well, but you know, stay safe, do what you got to do, but you know, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you next week. We should be back on our Friday schedule starting next week. I don't foresee any reason not to, but hopefully we'll get back on track. There's been a couple of weeks, this week and the was it 2 weeks ago where I had to do like a Thursday thing and then just upload the VOD on Friday to YouTube. Which actually, that's a perfect segue for me to say, follow me on social media. I'm up on Instagram and Twitter at Wes Odinson, WESODINSON. And that's both on Instagram and Twitter, and actually on YouTube as well. So if for whatever reason you missed one of these or you want to check out some of the backlog videos there, this is episode 17, which is crazy to me. That we're already that deep. It doesn't feel like it, but here we are. But head on over. It's youtube.com/users/Wes Odinson. Hit subscribe, hit like on the videos. You know the drill. And I'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one. Take care.